Greetings, theists and non-theists. I'm the Atheist Paladin. Long time no see, but or long time no video make. But I have to address the sheer dishonesty of Shane Killian, and he has to at this point know that he's fucking lying. Of course, being as on topic or as striking the irons hot, we're talking about HB2. Really fucking topical now, isn't it? But he's fucking getting to the point where he has to know where he's lying. So let me address that his comments are, and then I'll get to his video so I can get to a nuanced point, or get to my point. So there's no way he can fucking misrepresent my position as he continues to do right fucking here. Okay, I'm just pointing out in the first one that he's virtue signaling, but we'll actually see what he's going to do about that. Alright, this part right here is about he's saying HB2 is a good thing because it improves transgender rights statewide. Now, it's kind of a curious position for him to have, him being a libertarian, because any argument for centralization is an argument for government. So, in at least this instance, he's actually arguing for government. It shouldn't matter if you didn't know. Every part of the state should have the right to decide what it's going to do, right? I mean, you say that's for private agencies. You freely recognize that private agencies can do the same. Well, then why can't smaller governments? I'm just saying that not because I believe it, because that's what I believe the libertarian line of thought should be, at the very least. But you don't seem to be consistent with that. But okay, that doesn't matter to me. You can have your own nuanced view. That's fine by me. But let's go on. Now he was saying there that there are no ways the knowing with the violating it. But again, this is far as why is this better? Knowing that you're violating something and still things don't really change for you is not a better state. If I'm a trans person and I still can't use the bathroom, in other places I don't know if I could, why knowing that I couldn't in all situations would be a better situation? At least in Charlottesville, they try to improve the situation. I know there are other municipalities that try to prevent it, like Greensboro and stuff. But why is that a better position? That doesn't make any sense. And then I'm trying to get him to admit that HB2 is freaking about the lawmakers are making the Schrödinger rapists accusations while they are pointing this out. Now he's trying to obfuscate, like saying that I'm saying that they were saying trans people. I can understand. I can give them this, that make trans people Schrödinger's rapists. Now that's the actually minority. Most are saying that trans rights will give the Schrödinger's rapists, which was meant. But there are people who are making that trans people are the Schrödinger's rapists as well, like Milo Yiannopoulos. So Milo Yiannopoulos made that argument that trans people are the Schrödinger's rapist. But overall, I can sort of give them this. But they do know that they are making that argument. Let's go see what Pat McCory says. The ordinance defied common sense. The ordinance that he was talking about is the North Carolina ordinance. The Charlottesville ordinance. Allowing men to use a woman's locker room or bathroom, for instance. So he knows about how this is going to affect trans people, and he's calling them allowing men to use women's bathrooms. That's a Schrödinger's rapist argument right fucking there. Right fucking there. The guy who signed it, the guy who called for an emergency bill, the guy who told right here, he told them not to go. He says he was changing basic long-established values and norms, and it raises the specter of women and children being molested or assaulted as a result of the non-discrimination ordinance. McCory's email. Again, right there. Schrödinger's rapist. For this bill. Are you going to change your opinion? Are you going to change what you're going to say? Are you? No, probably not. All right. And this is where he gets really dishonest. Now he wants to really point to one person arrested for using the wrong bathroom. One. I'm saying the bill had the effect exactly what they wanted to. Let me elaborate. They knew that the bill would discriminate against LGBT people. I'm not saying that anybody was arrested as a result. Nice fucking red herring there, but you're being fucking dishonest. We all know that they just get a trespassing charge and fine $200. So I'm not trying to get me going on a red herring there, but no, I'm not falling for it. And of course, I also claim that people are being accosted on this one. Okay, citation needed. Okay, we'll get to that. And then I discussed it's a just as valid tactic, which is my whole fucking point about his video, that we can change. We can change HB2, so we can focus on the HB2 reference and bisex and add, or those who are being treated for gender dysmorphia can use the bathroom that best aligns with her perceived gender. To me, that seems to be just as valid tactic, but he fucking ignores it like he doesn't fucking... Oh, you fucking liar. Those are 300A- issues. No, it's fucking not. You think that it's enough for to be identified to gender dysmorphia to change certificate? Okay, fine. That's fine. Okay, that's your opinion. But we already know what McCory's position on it is. He doesn't want to get into gender identity issues. He doesn't want to redefine gender. He himself says that. So they knew that's what this was going to affect it being. So yeah. And this is where I'm highlighting that he actually talks about co-ed bathrooms. And he says, which is why I exactly called for you at the end of the video, so thanks for another fucking goddamn lie. No fucking shit! No fucking shit, you lying goddamn asshole. You have to know that you're lying. That the fact I already made the reference to Schrödinger rapist, which you actually make the case for why people don't want to accept co-ed bathrooms is because of the Schrödinger rapist argument. So you have to know that I was referencing that part of the video, but now you're trying to lie and make it seem like I didn't recognize you at fucking all. But you see my previous comment, opinion you yourself sees in co-ed bathrooms. My very last fucking statement to you. So text and fucking context both prove that you fucking know that I recognized you for co-ed bathrooms, and now you have to fucking lie. You're being a dishonest asshat. But let's now get to your video.
I hate trans people. I mean, and I've just had enough of this. I wasn't going to cover this because the whole thing's stupid, but it just keeps going on and on and on, and we need someone to try to put a little sanity into this issue so that maybe we can actually do some real good.
Real good, but you don't put any fucking sanity in it at all. You make it even more fucking insane.
As opposed to also, we're boycotting stuff in North Carolina. Do you have any idea how this law puts North Carolina ahead of the pack in most states? No, apparently you don't. Because all you did was jump on a bandwagon. Yes, I want to be all liberal and tolerant and progressive and stuff, so here's a great way to do this without really having to put in much effort. Yeah. Yeah, I realized that all this was bogus when I broke with long-standing tradition in this country and actually read the law. Radical, I know. You know, it's not like politicians read the law before they pass it. But Here it is, the links in the video info. We won't go through the whole thing because we don't need to. We'll only go through the parts that are relevant to the whole issue of transgendered people using bathrooms. The first thing...
Why? Why just that part? Maybe because there may be other sections that actually deal with transgender rights that are not about bathrooms? What about the part where it defines protected classes? And when you read about that part about the protected classes, you fucking realize that gender identity and sexual orientation are not protected. So that's not a pro-LGBT position. They don't protect gender identity or sexual orientation. They protect just about everything else except those two things. Now, the law makes a mistake in saying that basically it says people can't sue, that it doesn't allow them to sue in the state courts about certain non-discrimination issues or about discrimination issues. Now, which means they would have to go to federal court, which is longer and more expensive. But thankfully, they actually repealed that part. But yeah, but overall, they still don't protect gender identity or sexual orientation.
The thing about this bill is that private companies can do whatever they want. Walmart can set its own bathroom policy. And if you don't like it, you can go to Target. But really what this law does is for bathrooms for departments and organizations under the state of North Carolina and any other institution running under its auspices, like local governments, municipalities, things like that, counties and cities all operate under powers given to them by the state. That's how it works in this country. And it just got crazy. It got to where you traveled around the state, you had no idea what bathroom you were allowed to use and what you weren't. And I mean, yeah, you had some around the state that were pretty progressive.
Mostly Charlottesville, which didn't even get to pass their law until they were superseded by this, but okay.
You also had some that were just far worse, and the idea here is to get one law that applies throughout the state so that you could actually know which bathroom you could use without breaking the law, so.
As far as the state goes, but knowing that if you don't have your birth certificate saying your gender identity, it's not much of an improvement when you're a trans person. Just saying.
And before we really get into this, I should point out that there are kind of two opposing ideas here. One is that people should be able to use the bathroom of the gender they identify with. Even if you were born a man, if you identify as female, then you should be able to use the ladies' room. But the other is that we don't want these male creepers coming into the women's room peeping on the ladies. And yes, this is people on both sides. This is what the progressives say. This is...
On both sides? No, it's just primarily those who support HB2. Those who support HB2 are promoting this Schrödinger's rapist views, and yet you support HB2. Funny how that works.
What the progressives want, because don't you know all cis men are Schrödinger's rapist who just can't help but rape a woman if they catch a glimpse of her naked or whatever. But it does mean that there were just all these crazy laws that just varied all over the place. So let's look at HB2 and actually see what it does. And the first part that we're going to be looking at deals with boards of education, basically schools. And it modifies section 115C 521.2. That's actually a new section. And down here in paragraph B, it says, single-sex, multiple occupancy bathroom and changing facilities. Local boards of education shall require every multiple occupancy bathroom or changing facility that is designated for student use to be designated for and used only by students based on their biological sex. Okay, so that means they hate trans people, right? Well, then wait a minute. What's the legal definition of biological sex? We'll come back to that.
If you're a trans person and you can't use the bathroom, then maybe you do hate trans people and they knew it would have that effect. maybe you should consider that, but I guess not.
And they also say in paragraph C, nothing in this section shall prohibit local boards of education from providing accommodations such as single occupancy bathroom or changing facilities or controlled use of faculty facilities upon request due to special circumstances. But in no event shall that accommodation result in the local boards of education allowing a student to use a multiple occupancy bathroom or changing facility designated under subsection B of this section for a sex other than the student's biological sex. So they could set up a special single occupancy bathroom for transgendered people if they wanted to. Nothing stopping that. But it is based on biological sex. Well, we'll have to come back to that.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good out for them to actually do this. But again, they would have to spend funds doing this, being a public school. If they're not provided the funds for it, most likely they're not going to do it.
And we also have section 143-760. Paragraph B pretty much says the same thing. It just applies to public agencies instead of school boards specifically, but it's pretty much the same language. And so here we have a consistent definition, a consistent way of doing things throughout the state. Again, just for government facilities, businesses can put whatever policy they want to in play, and that's as it should be. So what is biological sex? Well, both section 143-760 and section 115C-521.2 define biological sex the same way: the physical condition of being male or female, which is stated on a person's birth certificate. Oh, well, that's it, right? As long as you're born that way, that's it, and you can never be transgendered, right? Here's the thing, people. Here's the thing that you would realize if you bothered to do 10 minutes of research on this issue. In North Carolina, you can change your birth certificate. Ooh, wow, what a concept. You can do that? Yes, yes. Go down to the Register of Deeds with $27. And you can change it, and you can do it by mail, and all that wonderful stuff. Now, of course, we don't want people just changing their birth certificates willy-nilly, so there need to be criteria into place as to when and how that can be done. And that is in a section that has nothing to do with HB2. It's already passed into law. It was a long time ago. Section 130A-118. And this says all the different ways that a birth certificate can be changed, changing your name or whatever. And you can change your sex. According to paragraph B, subparagraph 4, quote, a written request from an individual is received by the state registrar to change the sex on that individual's birth record because of sex reassignment surgery if the request is accompanied by a notarized statement from the physician who performed the sex reassignment surgery or from a physician licensed to practice medicine who has examined the individual and can certify that the person has undergone sex reassignment surgery. So there you have it. If you're a full transgendered person, a full post-op transgendered, then you just change your birth certificate, and that's the one you use. As far as I know, as far as my research has been able to cover, there are only like a couple other states in the country that let you do this. And by the way, California is not one of them. And this is one of the things that really pisses me off about this. It's kind of like when...
Okay. So it only supports somebody who's only post-op. Now, the research that I've went through is showing that less than half actually get that done. And according to you, a bill that actually makes allowances for less than half of a particular group, and I don't know how much less than half that is. Is it 30%, 20%, 2%? I have no idea. But overall, again, less than half actually get this done. And you're going to sit there and tell me that it's good for the entire group. Or it's good for... No, a trans person. What do you think that trans word means? It means transition. If you don't support them through the entire transition, then you're not for trans rights. It's only a minor fucking necality that you're arguing here. Oh, this is also happens to be for it because This is the one of the few states you can actually change your gender on. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do. But overall, they're not doing any better than they were before overall. Yeah, a person who can change their gender on their birth certificate can go into a bathroom that identifies with that birth certificate. I think that's something they could have already done and won in court, no problem, already. It doesn't really change anything.
We had Amendment 1 a few years ago. The gay marriage amendment prevented gay marriage, and it ended up passing because basically people spread around a lot of lies about what it really did. Mm-hmm. But everyone was saying, yeah, see, North Carolina, they're a bunch of rednecks there. They're a bunch of ignorant, toothless, inbred redneck. California had passed pretty much an identical referendum. In fact, this one was more explicitly anti-gay marriage. A few years before, people weren't saying that about California.
You sure? Well, okay, they weren't saying they were calling them rednecks, but it was a fucking disappointment that the Mormon funded propaganda actually won out. But yeah, people were disappointed in California.
People were not saying that about California. So here we actually have, with North Carolina, one of the most progressive statewide restroom legislation in the country. Now, I've had a lot of discussions with
arguing from a technicality. Yeah, okay.
People about this, trying to set them straight on the facts. And you know how woos are. They immediately shift gears. They love shifting those goalposts. And they say, well, you know, a lot of people can't have the operation. They can't afford it, or some health issue prevents them from having the operation, or whatever. Well, okay, but now we're having a completely different conversation, aren't we? Now, we're not talking about who should get to use which bathroom. We're talking about who should be able to reassign their sex on their birth certificates.
Why the fuck? Jesus. So, okay. I'm sure. So they can be identified with gender dysmorphia, but still cannot use the bathroom the best identified until we get the birth certificate issue straightened out? What? Really? So, so you rather arguing about whether or not they should have the right to use that bathroom, you now want to argue that whether they have the right to change a birth certificate. Because according to you, it's completely freaking reasonable to have a requirement of a birth certificate to use a fucking bathroom. Jesus fucking Christ.
And that's the thing that gets me about this. You, with North Carolina, you people are this close to getting what you want. If you think it's ridiculous to make people go through sex reassignment surgery to use the alternative bathroom, then what you want to do is change Section 130A-118. But
why? Jesus fucking Christ, why? Why do we... look, we already know what Pat McCory is going to say about this. That they're arguing over the definition of gender. And guess what Pat McCory doesn't want to do? Argue over the definition of gender. Because he already has common sense and established values, public normative values about this. He doesn't want to change that. He already knows what this bill's going to do. Okay? So, arguing over what should be sufficient to change a birth certificate in order to get people into a bathroom, why is it reasonable to have a birth certificate to decide whether or not you get to use a bathroom? You gotta be fucking kidding me. And this, according to you, is the better use of time, is to argue over birth certificates than that. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You don't want to change HB2. You want HB2 to be there, because without HB2, changing 138-118 will do no good. Okay, so let's change subparagraph 4. Come up with some better criteria for when someone should be able to change their birth certificate. They'll say, okay, I'm male, I'm going to change to female. Okay, here's the criteria for that. If you don't like this criteria, come up with your own and work to change this one. The secret to effective activism is ready, aim, fire. And it's amazing how many people skip step 2. And something else they say is, well, not all states allow you to change the birth certificate. What if they were born in another state? Okay, then your problem is with that state, not North Carolina.
No, the problem is with both fucking states. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. You haven't fucking established that it's even reasonable to require a birth certificate to access a bathroom. If it's not reasonable, and it's actually reasonable to let someone of gender dysmorphia to go to the bathroom of which they best identify with, so they don't actually get harassment in the other bathrooms. Because just imagine a male to female transition, they would have to use a man's room. There have been plenty of situations where they have been assaulted in that exact situation. And this is exactly the situation you want to put them through until you fucking argue over whether or not it's okay to actually change the fucking birth certificate. That's a fucking minor quibble, pointless and minor quibble over something like that. That's some bullshit.
I mean, can we please put 10 minutes of thought into this? Come on, so close, so close. You are so close to getting what you want. Are you going to do it? Are you going to stop going against HB2? Are you going to welcome HB2 and change your energies into changing Section 138-118? Are you going to do that? Or is this not really about transgendered people after all? Is this really about you pushing your political agenda and getting your team in power and trying to hurt those on the other team and just using transgendered people as political fodder for it? Huh? Is that what it's about?
Jesus fucking Christ. Talk about tinfoil hat conspiracies. So it's not about that they actually care about transgender people, but rather to use a minority to get into power. Wow. Okay. So we're using a minority to get in power, and not because we, as a principle, believe in, personal liberty and people having the right to fucking decide for themselves how to control their own fucking lives. But no, they're just a football to be bandied about in this game. Fucking Christ, this is why you're making the video? Because you believe people who are like this? You gotta be fucking kidding me. So the ACLU and other pro-LGBT groups that argue against HB2 are not doing it because they care about their own fucking rights or rights of other people, but because they want to get in power. You gotta be yeah.
You want to show me wrong about that? You want to show me that's not what it's about? Then accept HB2 and turn against 138-118.
There's no good fucking reason to accept HB2. You've made no fucking argument to show that it's reasonable to define biological sex by a fucking birth certificate. You haven't done that. And that it's reasonable that a birth certificate should be required to use a fucking bathroom. You haven't addressed at all whether or not it's reasonable just to let someone with gender dysphoria to use a bathroom that the best identifies with them. You haven't refuted that at all. But instead you want to talk about fucking birth certificates and whether or not it's okay to change the gender based on that criteria alone, when we know, in fact, what the response to that is going to be. They're not going to want to do that. Pat McCory already stated that they are trying to redefine gender by fighting this. By fighting HB2, he's saying that we're trying to redefine gender. So he already knows that we're already fucking trying to do this. And if you actually know his personal fucking views, he doesn't want to fucking do that. So there is no fucking reason to accept HB2. None whatsoever. And the fact of the matter is it's just a fucking excuse. A fucking excuse to take away other localities from being more progressive than the state. It of course not only takes them right away from being more progressive on LGBT issues and gay rights issues, but also prevents them from being more progressive on something like the minimum wage. So it took that right away too, because it did not, the state did not want to feel pressure about transgender rights from its own local governments. Yeah, okay, so it makes one policy, one bad policy, but that's not an improvement.
Redirect your focus. If you really believe what you say, then that's what you'll do. Are you going to do it? Is that what's going to happen now? Now that the facts have been pointed out to you? Are you going to go against this legislation and other such legislation in other states about when transgendered people can change their birth certificates? Or is this just an opportunity to jump on a bandwagon to go against the people you don't like? Come on, tolerance my ass. This is not about tolerance. It's never about tolerance. Stop pretending.
Tinfoil hat.
If I'm wrong, then say, okay, I was wrong about HB2. HB2 is good. Let's change 138-118.
No
you gonna
way
do that?
It can be fucking good.
I challenge you. Really, I dare you. In fact, you know what? I triple dog dare you. Ooh, serious breach of etiquette there. Skipping right for the triple dog dare. I dare you. Prove that you actually mean what you say. Prove that this isn't just some excuse for political posturing and bandwagoning and a way to kind of puff up your side and make your side look all good and wonderful, and the other side, they just hate people who are different.
Yeah, and they're going to prove that by agreeing with you and doing what you say. By following exactly what you said rather than just proving you wrong or just showing that there are other ways to be effective about this. No. They have to agree with you and do exactly what you say. Fucking amazing dare there, Chang. Daring everyone to be in line exactly what you say with your fucking wonky-ass beliefs, trying to defend a law that is undefensible, saying it's good for people when it's not actually good for that group at fucking at all. The cognitive dissonance in this one is fucking astounding.
And because I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. If I'm wrong, then we'll see.
If you're wrong, you'll never fucking admit to it. Never. I haven't seen you done that once. Fucking perfect God you are, huh, right? The perfect libertarian God, Shane Killian, is never wrong about anything. We'll fucking see.
If I'm wrong, you'll accept HB2 and then turn to targeting Section 138-118. You gonna do it? I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? So, okay, that's pretty much the facts, but I know a lot of you are thinking, Shane, what's your opinion on this? You've just been talking about what the law says and what it does. What's your position on this? What do you think bathroom policy should be? Personally, I'm probably going to piss everyone off like this. I don't see any point in gender-segregated bathrooms. I mean, would it really cause the collapse of civilization if men and women use the same bathrooms? Because, SJWs, I know you think that cis men are Schrödinger's rapist and that a woman in the men's room is going to be raped. Guess
not just the SJWs, the conservatives agree with them. And guess who wrote the bill? The conservatives. The Republicans. The religiously motivated support this bill. While some religions or some churches have been more progressive and came out against it, overall, it's religiously motivated, Shane. They buy into the Schrödinger rapist argument too, which is the underlying reason for this bill.
It's what? Not true. I have empirical data that it's not true. There have been many times things like this have happened. Lots of people know about this. Happens all the time. It used to happen over here. We used to have a drive-in theater nearby, and it had the men's room and it had the ladies' room, and there was always a big line at the ladies' room.
That's not empirical data, Shane. I think you should know better. It's stating your own personal anecdote. But not that I disagree that there's personal data supporting this. I fucking agree there should be co-ed bathrooms, and it shouldn't be a big fucking deal. If people are really scared about Schrödinger's rapist, just build a fucking wall around the toilet and a door. They can't look over and they can't look under, and the person is safe in there. I mean, we can do that, but, you know, that's a little more money to spend for sure. But it gets rid of the Schrödinger's rapist argument and is more progressive. But why did you fucking harp on about that everybody should fucking agree with you and have the exact same position as you, and yet you yourself have a different fucking position from you yourself? Jesus fucking Christ, that was my fucking point. You can have a different position and not trying to be fighting over LGBT rights just to look good or trying to get into fucking power. There's a billion of fucking different ways to skin the fucking cat on this. But you're too fucking myopic that you have to be fucking right on everything, even when you're not.
So a lot of the ladies would come in and use the men's room while men were there using it. And it wasn't a deal. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't any deal. It was just, okay, we're using the bathroom. Sometimes people would make a little joke out of it, but wasn't a big deal. Yeah, she didn't become a victim of a gang rape. I don't remember reading any stories like this about a woman who used the men's room and ended up being raped on that alone. No, guys are not Schrödinger's rapist. And a lot of this problem is because this is just how you've been raised. If it's a way that you've been raised, you don't see the imbecility of it. You know, you look like in a lot of primitive cultures and a lot of the ridiculous things that they did. Well, couldn't they see it was ridiculous? Well, no, because that's the way they were raised. That's how it was happening with them. That was just normal to them. That was the norm. And any deviation from that norm, you want to deviate from the norm? Oh, no. Oh, but you so-called progressives are the tolerant ones.
And yet, if you read Pat McCory's email, what he sent to Charlottesville, he's talking about norms and values. When this whole thing started, jeez.
You're the ones about the future. Come on. This is ridiculous. Removing gender from multi-occupancy restroom is not going to cause any harm. It's not. The whole idea is stupid. And the only reason you don't see that is because you grew up in a society where that was the norm. So, yeah, that's my opinion. That's what I think should happen. That's a much better way of doing it than this, but hey, one step at a time, I guess. Because, I mean, we're still this really puritanical society with one foot back in the dark ages. And SJWs, I'm sorry, but you're part of the problem. You're the biggest Puritans we have. God.
Except, say, for the actual fucking Puritans that actually pushed for this law. You can't see the forest through the fucking trees. It's the Puritans who pushed the laws, not the SJ fucking Ws. You're getting upset over feminists and SJWs of this fucking law, when this fucking law was pushed by Christian conservatives and Republicans. Jesus fucking Christ, you can't see the forest through the fucking trees.
So many of the things that you are doing today remind me of the Meese Commission back in the 80s. It's horrible, it's bigoted, and it's not at all progressive. It's about the most regressive thing that we have today. I'm kind of wondering if maybe that isn't the real reason for this. You do all of this because you're trying to cover for your own bigotry. You have to point the finger at other people, say they're bigots, so that you don't look like a bigot yourself.
Tinfoil hat!
Just time maybe for a little self-reflection here. So, that's my opinion, as usual, being more progressive than the progressives. Pointing...
And there you fucking have it. More progressive than the progressives. I'm virtue signaling. Aren't I better than the progressives and the liberals and the LGBT rights? I'm better than them because I know more than them. Because I'm going to take a controversial position on a bill that cannot be possibly good for people and say it's fucking good and then fucking shame them when they don't come to a fucking opinion, triple dog dare them to accept my position and then do what I fucking say. Ooh. Real big fucking deal there, huh, Shane? With all your tinfoil hats, cognitive dissonance, and fucking argument you haven't even fucking established, why is it a good fucking idea to require birth certificates for bathrooms? I have no fucking idea. But apparently that's a good thing to establish statewide, birth certificates for bathrooms. And then we should argue over whether or not you can change your birth certificate, because that seems to be a protective argument for the LGBT community. And if you don't agree, then you're the actual bigot, and I'm more progressive than you, and I'm more liberal than you. Yeah, that's Shane Killian. Fucking wow.